only at ncaa.com/shop.
Back here at the Polo Grounds here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the Ripken Experience. Keene State losing Game 2 of today's doubleheader to Framingham State 2-0. They lose both games of today's doubleheader, with Game 1 being a 5-4 loss in 8 innings. Nick Landy here on the Owls Media Network, now joined by the head coach of the Keene State baseball team, Justin Blood. Coach, we'll get into both games specifically, but obviously I know this is not the way you were hoping to start the series of games here in South Carolina. What were your overall takeaways ultimately of these first two games today?
We just said to the guys after this second game that the most disappointing thing, obviously you don't want to lose 2 games, but the most disappointing thing for me is that I just thought Framingham was way tougher. They were tougher than us, and their pitchers came after us and did a good job and set the pace and the tempo, and we had really bad energy, especially after we went down a run and had some quick innings offensively at the beginning of the second game. So, you know, we spend a lot of our time talking about how we carry ourselves and what type of energy we want to have, and I thought that was far below our expectations. So that was the most disappointing.
And I know yesterday was an exhausting day for the entire team, and I know in yesterday's practice you ultimately were trying to preach to the team about getting mentally fit, mentally in shape for overcoming tougher days like this. What do you think it will ultimately take for these guys to be able to get to that mindset that you're hoping that they are able to get to, and to be able to finish games like these 2 games today?
Just living it, you know, experience. Ultimately, that's always extremely helpful, is to have gone through it before. So, you know, whether it's a long travel day or being up for 4 runs going into the last 2 innings of this first game today, we don't have a lot of guys that have finished in those opportunities. You know, they don't have experience doing that. Maybe not at the college level, or guys that have been here for a couple of years, maybe they haven't had experience doing that either on the field. So we're just going to keep pushing, obviously, more opportunities at them. I think we're going to be in a lot more games this year. So playing in closer games will give you some of that experience, and you're going to take some lumps like you did today, but ultimately I think we will find the right pieces. And some of it's on the coaches, you know, some of it's on me. Like, we got to figure out the right combinations, you know, who to put in what spot in the lineup, who to put in the right spot defensively, you know, what pitchers are capable of being in what spots. So, you know, we're just going to keep pushing buttons, and ultimately, as we work through the season, the goal is to figure out which the right ones are. And, you know, by the end of this week, we got 8 more games, counting the doubleheader at RPI on Saturday. So we got a lot of baseball to play this week, and hopefully we'll have more answers by the end of it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I do want to get into a few bits of pieces I thought were some positives, and I think the biggest one I took away was your starting pitching. First, with Phil Nichols in the first game, he had a good start to the season last week against Trinity, and he was able to continue that today. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 strikeouts. What have you noticed really from him in these first 2 appearances on the mound so far this season?
He's competitive. You know, he's competitive. He throws strikes. He did a lot today with just 2 pitches. He didn't really have his breaking ball. But Phil can come after you with his fastball. He can get to both sides of the plate. Got a good, very good changeup. But really, I think a lot of it with him is just his presence. You know, like we said, that energy. And he gives our guys confidence and creates a lot of early contact, so he gives himself a chance to stay in the ball game for a long time too.
And then your other starting pitcher today, Brendan Muse, he had a tougher outing last week against Trinity, but today he bounced back, kept the Owls in Game 2. Just was unfortunately outdueled by Vincent a Framingham State's pitcher, but still, you would safe to say nice bounce back performance for Brendan in Game 2 today.
Yeah, he pitched very well. He deserved better. You know, he's a guy who mixes and matches a lot. You know, a lot of off speed, good changeup, good spin. Added a cutter. Last week, I think it was probably Trinity was a bad matchup for him. They just kind of seemed to be in that bat path of his cutter, but. He did a great job today. I thought he kept him off balance. And then Dean Ruzic, was great when he came in the second game as well. He's made a ton of adjustments in the first year and a half that we've been here, and he's gotten a lot better. So, and that's one of those things too. Going back to the first game, that's probably a guy that I should put in. Instead of the freshman in the first game, maybe Dean should get the ball. So Joe's got really good stuff. Schlehuger showed it in that first battery face where he blew it by one of their guys who had put some good swings on balls today. So he's going to be more capable of doing stuff like that, handling that role. But he's a freshman, so Dean's a senior, and that's one of those things where maybe next time I'll make the right move and go with the older guy.
Yeah, and to get it right, it's Vincent Lowe Judas. I apologize for the tongue twister, everybody, but good outing from him for Framingham State today. But a good pitching day from your starters overall. So moving on to tomorrow's doubleheader against Salem State at Pelican Stadium, a minor league ballpark. What do you know about Salem State that you're expecting from them tomorrow, and what are you ultimately hoping to see from your team tomorrow?
Well, we saw them twice last year. They've got a couple of good arms. They lost a few bats, so their lineup a little different. But they were a scrappy, competitive team as well. And I thought Framingham was very competitive today, and pitchers did a great job. So I'm sure we'll see similar from Salem State tomorrow with their arms coming right after us. We need to do a better job of putting balls in play, barreling baseballs up. A lot of soft contact in the air today, swinging through balls. If teams are going to come after us with the fastball, we got to find a way to get on time and have better contact. So hopefully we can do that tomorrow.
Coach, thank you for stopping by. We look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap up from Myrtle Beach after this. Back here at the Polo Grounds here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as Keene State has lost Game 2 of today's doubleheader 2-0. They lost both games of today's doubleheader. They lost Game 1 5-4 in 8 innings to Framingham State. If you couldn't tell by the rain poncho that was covering the camera during our interview with Keene State head coach Justin Blood, it has started raining once again here at Myrtle Beach. We were expecting rain today, but it seems like it held off for the most part between both games, but now it has started raining. So it's fortunate the teams are able to get through both games today with not much rain. The rest of the week is looking pretty good for the weather, and hopefully will bring warmer temperatures as well. As we mentioned in our conversation with Justin Blood, our next 2 games for Keene State are tomorrow against Salem State at Pelican Stadium, where the Myrtle Beach Pelicans play, a minor league affiliate of the Chicago Cubs. And both of those games you can also watch right here on the Owls Media Network, with Game 1 starting at 1 p.m. and Game 2 starting at 4 p.m. So we will see you then. This is Nick Landy signing off. We thank you for watching today's coverage of Keene State baseball. We will see you tomorrow.
You have been watching a Keene State Athletics broadcast on the Owls Media Network. Please tune in to our next broadcast, and thank you for watching.